And if you are a fan going in thinking it's going to be a good movie, you're going to be disappointed because this movie sucked. So
that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh.
It sucked, dude.
Like, that's a bit harsh, though. Thank you for downloading and listening to West Box Score. I'm Alex Gonzalez, joined once again by my two best homies in all of the sports world and the world in general, man. Sonny and Mono, Donald Paz, D-Bot. What's up, dudes?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Vax Bros?
Yeah, hey, man, we're going to be hugging and dabbing, dude. We're all fully vaccinated, right?
Yep, I was the last one to join the trio to get that final seal of approval on Friday.
I mean, I don't know if we want to flex our shots, but I think we got sorted into the Moderna house, right? You and I, Sonny?
No, I got Pfizer.
Oh, that's right. So all three of us are repping different crews, if you will.
Exactly.
So I mean, D-Bot,
we have our own chant over here.
How you feeling with the J&J, bro?
Yeah, D-Bot with the J&J, right?
I'm feeling good. One and done. That's what I like. So I can't complain. I know they it's funny because I got it the weekend before the announcement that they were going to pull it. And I was kind of like, oh, man.
Hey,
I knew nothing was going to happen
fashion,
to me.
One and done. There you go.
I know. I knew nothing was going to happen to me, though. I kind of felt good. You know?
No, but that's good. See, then I think the three of us were like, oh, we'd rather get the J&J because it's one and done, less hassle. But then like that news comes out like, oh, it's a little suspect there.
Yeah.
But you're going to be fine, man. You're not in that demo that's in danger.
It's kind of like, all right.
We're all good. For everybody out there who's listening, we each represent one faction.
It's not bad, guys. Go grab it.
And
vaccines for life.
That's right. And I don't know about you guys, but I love my new mutant abilities. So,
I feel like I can see the future. Right now, I see us talking baseball, Diamond, Dodgers, Padres series. Must see baseball, right, guys? Is
man.
Like, I mean, as we talked about last week, Justin Turner said it's like 16 or 15 World Series games a year for whenever the Padres and Dodgers meet up. And man, this past 4-game set, it took years off my life, dude. It was infuriating. It was thrilling. It lived up to the hype, right? Like a playoff game atmosphere. I don't know if it's necessarily World Series-esque, but it's up there. It's definitely NLCS worthy because these are obviously division rivals. And man, you know what? In all this hype about how crazy the Padres Dodgers series is, because it's 7 games now, right? And the Padres have taken 4 out of 7, so they technically would have won an NLCS, right? I mean, if this really was an NLCS playoff series, so it's annoying because the Padres are going to get that shine right now. But it's also, man, recognize who the World Series champs are. Can you please put some respect on the reigning, defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers? Sonny, what's up?
I think actually on the contrary. I think the fact that it is a big deal is by default because of the respect the Dodgers are given around the league as like, oh, you're not just beating or going toe-to-toe with, just anybody. You're going toe-to-toe with the defending World Series champs who have been dominating the NL for the last few years. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, you're for real. You're starting to show the Padres are for real. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're able to hang with that squad. And to the point where like, you're not just like some annoying little brother. Like, it's like, oh no, you're standing on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And we're all here to see it. Like, okay, let's see it. So I don't think it's disrespect to the Dodgers. I know you, Alex, the hater in you feels like, what about us? Pay attention to us. But it's not about that. It's about the Padres matching up to the level of the Dodgers. So take it as a compliment is what I'm saying.
You realize that's the inferiority complex that the Dodgers have had since getting so close, but not getting to the mountaintop, right? Like so close, but never getting there. And now we're finally here. And all everybody's talking about is Slam Diego. I mean, I recently bought MLB The Show 21. Okay, the cover guy is Fernando Tatis Jr. Makes total sense. That the hype video is Slam. by Onyx, and it's great. It shows all of the grand slams that Fernando Tatis Jr. is hitting. And it's like, you realize, though, they lost the NLDS. Like, what is all this? What is all this?
Get out of here.
What is all
Listen to me. Listen to me. Griffey didn't win one World Series. Did that matter that he was the face of baseball and the coolest thing around? No. So get out of here with that crap, dude. Like,
I want some goddamn respect. Come on.
Nobody wants to see some swaggerless Dodgers on the cover of I'm not gonna buy that game. You put Justin Turner on the cover of MLB 2K or whatever it is. Like Mookie, maybe. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, Mookie would.
But anybody else, like,
just pounding that chest after an amazing catch. That's what I want. That's what I want on that cover.
I see this is the diet version of MLB 2K.
MLB The Show 21 Light. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the free version.
Yeah, man.
D-Bob, what were your thoughts on these 7-game series, right? But these past 4 games at Dodger Stadium, what was your big takeaway?
I mean, this last series definitely made me think like I'm very convinced that like San Diego is San Diego, and they're gonna be here, especially if they keep this team together. They're gonna be a problem, you know. That game yesterday was a big blow to the ego, and Dodgers were up 6 runs,
7-1.
Yeah, 6 runs. Yeah,
and it felt like after that Chris Taylor. What was it? A 3-run home run. It felt like it was pretty much that was it. Like I was like, okay, then they're gonna coast it from here. And no, man, the bullpen just blew it. And man, it just made me think like that was a frustrating way to lose. And yeah, it's crazy, but in a way, it's kind of interesting seeing how the Padres reacted, which was like we were not gonna quit, and they didn't, and they actually came through. But yeah. I mean, I'm loving the series overall. I'm looking forward to it now. And I just think it makes for good baseball. I'm seeing MLB Twitter really like be focused on this series. It's crazy to see how all of MLB, Twitter and everyone on Reddit be like, yo, Dodgers, Padres must watch. Like,
yeah.
And I can't recall when the Dodgers were a focal point like this in the league. It's even though they won the title and everything, I think past couple of seasons, everybody knew like, okay, they usually tend to own the NL, and that's the case, and that was it. But right now, it just looks like because there is a rivalry, and because Tatis does what he did when he trolled Bauer, well-deserved troll. That's what makes it great. And I'm seeing all these posts about the unwritten rules being more unwritten now. So it's crazy, but I like it, man. I think I'm hoping that this is like the turning point of baseball being fun again, where it gets that buzz that it deserves, because it's a great sport to watch. But I get that people do feel like, hey, it could be a tad boring to watch if you don't get it. So,
well, especially in the months of April, you normally aren't like super hyped like this for just a regular series, but
just opening day and that's it. And then it just the hype dies out, and then that's it. Yeah. So it's insane to see that we're like it's still in the first fourth of the season, and it's this exciting. It makes for great podcasting and all this stuff, so it's awesome.
And it makes for great stupid video lanes like the one that dude sent out about, Tatis looking back at the catcher, bro. Get the fuck
John Boy
out
Media,
of here,
like calling him.
Speak on that because Bill Plaschke wrote an article saying that Fernando Tatis Jr. got caught stealing signs, just similarly to the Houston Astros of 2017.
No, that's the dumbest thing I've ever.
Yes,
Bill Plaschke has never played Little League baseball ever, and he's like, has it been that long? I know Bill's old.
It's been a long time
Bill's
for Plaschke.
columns. I love Bill's columns mostly, but no, come on, this is not the same as. This is the same as a pitcher tipping pitches. If you're worried about the opposing player peeking over, then you as a catcher need to do a better job to come up with ways to hide your signs and your placement. Or that's why catchers have delayed stances. They'll wait 1, 2, 3 after the batter has already kind of peaked, and you can tell that the batter's no longer looking down, that you're like, okay, now I'm going to move my position. They teach you. I mean, you play baseball long enough. I was fortunate to do it. These are things that are taught, right. And so that's why to me it's like, oh, come on. The people that are making videos like this are people that clearly have never played the sport before or have been out of touch with the sport, or people that are eating that shit up. That's why, to me, it's comical. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
So you think it was
man.
done just to steer the pot at this point? Like, that's why this guy...
Of course.
Like, and I love the way he prefaces this by saying, I'm a big Fernando Tatis Jr. fanboy. Nobody loves him more than me. But he looks like he's stealing a sign down here. He looks down at the ground and speaking at the catcher. And it's just like, well, that's really grasping, because even if you do know what's coming,
right,
you still got to hit it once it gets there and do something with it. And Tatis Jr. sent it over the wall. That's incredible skill, man.
And the dude is doing it with one shoulder.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like this,
Yeah.
like this is what's unreal about it. And not only that, it'd be different if he did that like once in the whole series. Tatis hit 5 bombs in this series.
Let's speak on that.
You know what I
5
mean?
bombs in this series. 1 home run in each, 2 home runs in the first 2 games, another home run in the third game. The first shortstop ever to do that in 3 consecutive games at Dodger Stadium. That's amazing. Not to mention, he hit 2 home runs on the same day.
His daddy did it.
Dad did at Dodger Stadium.
When we talk about his daddy, we ain't talking about Trevor Bauer. We're talking about his actual daddy, Fernando Tatis Sr., who did it off at Chan-Ho Park, although that was more impressive because he hit 2 grand slams in the same inning off of the same goddamn pitcher.
And Chan-Ho Park was no slouch, dude. He could pitch. And
I remember watching that game when it happened. And it's just like, man, to know that your son X amount of years later was going to do it again in the same stadium. You know, I mean, not 2 grand slams, but 2 home runs on the same day and the anniversary of that date. Man, dude, you just can't write it any better, dude. It's like, Tatis. It was great, especially that part in the third game where they cut to a scene out of Star Wars, and I think it was like, tranquilo, hijo Bauer.
See, and that's why this is more must-see TV. These personalities that we're seeing on display, right? Like D-Bot, you were saying, the baseball's fun again, you know, and it's they're with social media, they're allowing themselves to like poke fun at each other. Yeah. But my God, Bauer needs. I mean,
I was gonna say, it's funny that the whole conspiracy thing with Tatis happens to be at the game where he's being pitched by Bauer, which kind of makes me think like this would be like Bauer's kind of lane of doing some sort of QAnon spin to it of like.
But how stupid of Bauer to feed into that shit by saying, you know, if you want to know what pitch, just let your daddy know, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute, time out. Are we 2 weeks removed from your ass being called out for using some sticky substance?
It's a page out of our last president, dude, knowing how to egg it on and
oh my God,
keep it going.
Fuck
you know,
that guy, dude. I'm telling you.
But what else would you expect from somebody like Bauer? Of course, you double down on some bullshit like that, right? Like, he's just not a good Twitter trash talker. He's just not.
However, let me give the man some credit, because I did agree with one thing he said in that post game.
And that was in the presser, right?
Yes, where he said, and it wasn't using his Twitter fingers, it was straight out to the media, where he said, any pitcher who has a problem with a player celebrating a home run is soft. And I've maintained that forever, and I agree. You know, pitchers should be able to fist pump, throw arrows, whatever, throw swords, whatever they're doing when they get a big out. And batters should be able to cover their eyes to be like, oh yeah, try pitching to us with one eye now, motherfucker. You know, and that whole thing while they're trotting the bases because they just went deep. Or how about the Connor walk? The Connor walk that Trevor Bauer did while he was in Cincinnati once. So it's like, dude.
He's done it at Dodger Stadium too.
And I agree with Trevor Bauer. I agree with Trevor Bauer in that sense when he said that. I appreciated that. As far as all the other shit that he does, fuck that guy.
It's so weird because I feel like Trevor Bauer should be my favorite player because I agree with his mentality on the game of baseball, right? Let players have fun out there. Yeah. But when he comes to trash talking on Twitter, it's like, man, you are so cringe, dude. Like, I don't know if this is my boy, bro.
That's your boy, bro.
I got to do the head turn like, ooh, I don't know about that, bro. Oh man, but that's Dodger baseball is exciting to watch right now, man. This is must-see baseball, and even Bauer on the mound because he backs it up on the mound. I agree.
Dude, he's pitching well.
He's pitching really well, and it's one of those. The one win the Dodgers had was against when Bauer got the start, so it just shows you that
And it was Snell 2.0 all over again.
I mean,
the Padres pulled Blake Snell.
that is very true, man. I mean, how much credit do we give Bauer for that win and Snell for the loss?
Even Dave Roberts kind of was asked about it after the game, and he had to kind of chuckle about it. Like, yeah, there were some similarities to the World Series game in this game.
Yeah.
Once again, Snell's the best player on the Dodgers. Man, the Padres manager.
Coach, Snell's manager is the best.
Man,
I will correct D-Bot in saying this, though, about the Dodgers not being a draw. I think they were a draw, just not like how they are today, because it became clockwork for neutral fans to tune in October to watch the Dodgers to see if they were going to choke again or persevere.
Oh,
that's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it was like, oh shit, like are they going to choke again?
There was
or
that Kershaw story
time?
for the longest about him not being able to overcome. And
yeah,
that was like the draw, I guess. Yeah, you could say that. That's fair.
Yeah. So
how's Kershaw gonna choke this time? Oh, here comes the sixth inning. Here comes the Kershaw collapse inning.
Exactly.
Oh man.
But I would like to think that we, help soften the Dodgers a little bit for the Padres.
We're so excited about a Dodgers Padres series that we are forgetting about last week's big bet between the Seattle Mariners and Dodgers. It was a bet between Sonny, myself, and D-Bot. We all bet Sonny. Both of us bet Sonny that the Dodgers would take 2 from the Mariners. That did not happen because the Mariners showed up, man, with some good pitching. Really good pitching both days.
Both days for both. I mean, both teams brought it both days. That was also an unexpectedly entertaining 2-game set that was close at all times. But yeah, I was happy to get the dub, and more importantly, get the investments or the cha-chings into my Venmo account and stuff like that. Shout out to D-Bot.
I love the way you send your Venmo profile scan this your QR code to D-Bot. Like, oh, hey D-Bot, here you go.
Just in case.
Just in case you don't got that.
There were some shenanigans that were forwarded my way, by the way, via WBS Discord of some trolls up in there talking some ish.
Dude, they're waiting for you, man. They want you to clap back in there, dude.
Yeah, they don't want this smoke. Hey, to quote my boy DMX, RIP, you think this is a game? You think this is like, nah, you don't want me up in there because I'm shout out to Alex and Donald. I don't know how they're left standing sometimes after our Dodger debates, stuff like that. But you don't want me to type all day, man, like that.
Shouts out to Billy Delgado, Big Money Matt Paz out there on the Discord, holding it down, man, keeping it active. We love you both, man. You guys keep it active.
No,
and
they're
calling out Sonny, dude. I think Billy Delgado's coming for you, man. When
it's
you
all
show
love.
up,
it's all
for
love,
sure it
man.
is, absolutely. Because as we'll talk about later, he got some smack talk from me on the Mortal Kombat movie, which we'll talk about toward the end of this episode, man.
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious.
I can't
all right,
wait
man.
to get into
but
that.
so, are your Seattle Mariners still the AL West leading?
You
Seattle
would think
Mariners.
so, except the A's went around and messed around and won 13 games in a row.
Man. Wow.
And it's like, how can you compete with that? So I think at the time of this recording, we are 1 game back of first place of the AL West. We split our series with the AL East division leading Boston Red Sox over 4 games. So, I will say I'm happy that we held our own against both the Dodgers and the Red Sox. So that's promising. Again, do I still think we have like pretender-itis? Absolutely. But I'm enjoying the ride as long as I can.
Hey, man, you're at the big boy table. Come on and eat, dude.
For now,
division leaders.
while I can get in, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, this might be a temporary membership here, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh man, how are those Angels doing down there in the Big A?
They are hovering right at about 500. Correct me if I'm wrong, D-Bot. I think they might be 10-10 or 9-11.
10
I saw they got a win over the Astros without Mike Trout in the lineup, and it's like, how did they win without Mike Trout? Isn't he their whole heart and soul of their team? Like, the Angels only go so far as without Mike Trout. And I saw Shohei Ohtani was out there in the outfield. So I'm like, damn, dude, they're getting their money's worth from this guy right here. They can spend all that money. They were going to put him out there.
He's been beasting this season, by the way. He's like having a career year thus far. So this is why baseball is like just crazy, man. It's like we're not even talking about, I mean, this is what happens to Trout anyways. Yeah. We never talk about that dude just because the Angels don't live up to his hype.
Yeah. Right.
But we're not even talking about the career year that he's having because of all the shit, the hoopla that's going on with Tatis, the Dodgers, and all this entertainment. it's like we're forgetting like some of these other major players. But
Yeah.
it's fun, man. It's
I think
fun.
with baseball, like I think this is why I now understand more why they split the awards to be NL and AL, because there's so much good stuff that happens in that you can't just say like it's all Tatis MLB. Like I think Tatis
Right.
is definitely killing it for the NL, and I would say, I mean, so far I think Ohtani's been pretty impressive for the AL. But
Yeah.
then Mike Trout's always good too. But yeah, like you said, like he wasn't there in that game with the Astros, and they still won it. It's pretty impressive. Like so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been fun, man. Baseball's been something special so far.
So what? I mean, baseball is always fun in the playoffs, and now that it's the regular season, it's fun right now. But they gotta let these players, man, do their thing and give us more excitement like this. Cover those eyes, man. Let fist pump, sword, McGregor walk off, just like they do on the hardwood, man. And speaking of the hardwood, how are Los Angeles Lakers doing right now, Sonny?
Oh man, D-Bot's gonna help me out here. But
D-Bot,
been,
you've been assigned the Lakers.
Yeah. You had the assignment this weekend because there was a lot of action going on.
Because you drew the short straw on this one.
Yeah. No, and honestly, I was able to watch. I was able to actually watch those back-to-back Mavericks games. They weren't really back-to-back in terms of like day after, but they did play the Mavericks Saturday, and they played them last Thursday, and they lost to both games. But right now, currently, they're trailing the Orlando Magic in the third quarter, 54-58, down by 4. Really, like I think I said it last week, the rotations is really the big part of this whole thing, because I realized once playoffs start and you go into playoffs, you got to have your good 5 starters, and then you need at least 3 guys that are going to come in and are going to be able to like complement the starters whenever the starters need a break. And this last game with the Mavericks, they were up, I believe they were up 12 points at the half, which was really impressive. They were clicking. It was amazing seeing how they were they were doing this trap defense towards Luka Doncic. Like they were making him uncomfortable. I mean, Luka ended up getting a technical because he got pissed at the ref because the ref wasn't calling anything on him. And he was getting like beat up by the Lakers, but they were trapping him. They were sending 2 guys, and it was making him uncomfortable, and they did a great job trapping him. And they had this great trap defense where they were shifting properly, and you know how it is. It's all about rhythm. So they were on rhythm, and then they would get the ball back, and then in transition, they would just be making their buckets. Couple threes by Kuz, couple threes. Schroeder started shooting threes and made them, and it was insane. I was like, wow, the Lakers are clicking. AD's in it. He's doing his thing. Him and Drummond like being so big, like rebounds left and right by them. It was just, you could tell there was just this different. And in the second half, it all fell apart. They weren't making any shots. The trap defense thing, the Mavericks figured out how to like break out of that. So then the Mavericks were able to like kick out and get their shots in. And it was just getting uncomfortable for the Lakers, and they just didn't know. And then come fourth quarter, they completely fell apart. They only scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Dallas Mavericks scored 29. So they basically sealed the game by that point. But yeah, it was really bad seeing how the Lakers, looking as good as they were in the first half, didn't make any sort of adjustments in the second half. And yet the Mavericks did. Luka Doncic figured out like how to, get the double team, but still be able to kick it out. And yeah, and then the Lakers just weren't getting anything in. The only thing that I was taken away from, which I know a lot of NBA Lakers Twitter was going crazy of, is that Montrezl Harrell got 0 minutes. And
DMP, coach's decision.
Yeah. It was interesting seeing him sit on the bench, first quarter, second quarter, and you're just kind of like, all right, is he going to suit up? I mean, is he going to come in, I should say. He was suited up. He was in his warm-ups, and it was just kind of like, okay, never came in at all. And yeah, he never did. And then we never saw him. And I think that probably would have helped, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was something personal. We don't know. But for the most part, it just feels like, or was he hurt and they didn't want to disclose anything. But it just felt weird, given that you had to put Gasol out there and Drummond out there. And, I feel like because Gasol has his moments, but he's not enough. And I'd rather trust Harrell more. But again, surprised they did not play him. And yeah, it is weird. I don't know, but I feel like with the little games that are left, I'm hoping that LeBron could come back, because I think at this point we're really doing this thing where we really need him. So
Was there any wild speculation on Lakers Twitter as to why Harrell wasn't in the game at all?
I didn't read anything. I know that they asked Marc Gasol, like, hey, like, what's going on with the center rotations, and his answer was just like, oh, I don't know. That's
not my call.
Not my call. You know what I mean? Like,
not my call. Right?
So I don't know what it is. Like,
I felt I got to only watch half of that game because there was another assignment that I was on that evening.
Yes, you were.
That we'll get to in a bit. But I felt like it was more because I started thinking about it, and Montrez has pretty much played every single game this season. In the midst of us not having like our full squad, he's kind of had to carry a lot of the minutes. I felt like it was maybe more intentional. An opportunity for Vogel to kind of give him rest and give the other players a chance to kind of acclimate with AD, especially Drummond, somebody who hasn't played with AD like that in the Lakers system, whereas Montrez already has played with AD prior to AD's injury, so I think he already knows what it's about, what it's like to work off of him. So I felt like the way I read it was Vogel was just kind of experimenting here and trying to find a way to give the minutes to AD given his comeback from the injury, Drummond incorporating him, and then keeping Gasol checked in because we are going to need him at some point for some pivotal game in the playoffs, whether it be a 5-minute stretch run or something like that. And so you got to keep him engaged, right? Like where he feels like, all right, I still have a role to play here.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's too much to read in this with Montrez, but we'll see. To be determined.
I am reading right now on Yahoo Sports. They asked Vogel about this, and he said, quote, keeping all three centers sharp. You've got two in a back-to-back situation with Dallas, which were the 2 Dallas games, and giving each guy a look and seeing how those guys look in this matchup.
Hey, I'm a free agent for the NBA out there that's looking for a new head coach. In case I swear to God, I didn't read any of this shit. I was just reading the season as a fan as a whole and just thinking that's the only explanation I could have for Montrez.
Yeah, and they said that Montrez has played 59 games, so it's a lot. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. That makes sense. And yeah, I think for as much as I am not a huge fan of how Gasol's been looking this season, I mean, at the same time, this is the coach's call to at least, make it worth that he needs to at least get something going. And I think if you don't give him the reps, then he'll never get sharper, I guess, as Vogel would like to say.
Come at me at Discord again. Come at me. See what happens?
Calling out what does the Discord guys do to you, man? Come on. Sonny's got his clipboard out with the X's and O's right here. He's going to get the Lakers on the right track. You know what else is going to help get the Lakers on the right track? LeBron James.
Yes.
I mean, once the boss shows back up, they're going to get in line out there on the field, man, on the court.
Well, depending who you ask, because some people think LeBron James is the devil and he needs to not play basketball anymore.
Let's not get into the Aubrey nonsense that's on Twitter, man. Some of that nonsense, I'm telling you, Twitter is a cesspool of hate. Stay off of it if you can. Discord's a fun place. Get on there. It's fun. We're all having a good time.
Yeah. Join our Discord.
Until you get on there, Sonny, then it's going to be another cesspool of hate. But you know what was a loving atmosphere? And it was Staples Center back with fans, man. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Staples Center for the Kings-Ducks game. Man, over a year in the making, fans back at Staples Center. It was nice, man. It was so great to be inside Staples Center for a Kings game, seeing a bunch of Kings fans walking up to Staples Center with their Kings sweaters on, just like old times. Obviously, you notice because I like to get there early. I'm one of the fans. I like to see warm-ups happen. So if I'm going to a game and I'm paying that high ticket price, I want to get there early. I want to see my team warm up. I want to see what they look like during warm-ups. So I get a sense for the whole game. I'm getting my money's worth. So I show up and it's early, obviously not a lot of fans, but also I noticed almost 50-50 employees and fans. I'm like, oh, okay, people are going to show up, right? Like this, you did sell tickets for this game, right? So, and then, a lot of things stand out to me as I'm there. Like, okay, beforehand, I had to go do the COVID test because I'm not fully vaccinated, quote unquote. It's not 2 weeks after my second vaccination shot. Thanks a lot, Fauci. You got to wait those 2 weeks. Those are your rules, playing by them. So I had to supply a negative COVID test, got all that, show that in there, get in there. That's one of the only venues where you have to show this, right? Because it's indoors, makes total sense. I get in there.
Yeah,
you
they
have
did
to
that. They did that in Jacksonville, right, for the UFC.
Oh yeah, sure they did. Of course they did. And they also socially distanced by 6 feet. Absolutely, because it's an indoor arena. You have to. So yeah, the same thing at Staples Center. 6 feet. There's nobody sitting next to you. Like the next person who's next to you is like a row, 2 rows down, and like off like a couple seats away. And you have to keep your mask on the entire time, even when you're in your seat. No food or drink at your seat. So one of my favorite traditions at a Kings game is to enjoy a nice hot chocolate while watching the Kings game. I know I'm cheesy, but it's cold on the ice, and you want a hot chocolate to keep you warm. You can only drink so many beers during a hockey game, man. So that was one of my big downsides to it. Also, I realized as I was walking the concourse, no Bailey. No Kings mascot walking around. So that was disappointing. I like to see his dumb hijinks as he's walking around the concourse. Also, a plus from that, the concourse of Staples Center really empty. You can get all around Staples Center in like less than 5 minutes because usually you have to navigate through people.
Oh, that's right.
So that was really cool. Yeah. And because there was no food inside your seats, they had food trucks outside, right in Star Plaza. So that was really cool. During intermission, me and the missus enjoyed some chicken tenders and French fries, which I freaking love at Staples Center, man. That's my go-to meal when I go upstairs to the the smokehouse up there that they have up on the patio. That's a good place to go get chicken tenders, and like they have the beef briskets and all that too. It's really good stuff.
Oh man, you're making me hungry right now.
Damn, dude. I love me Staples Center, man. I've been there way too many times, dude. So it was just great to be out there. And the Kings played a great game. It was actually they actually looked good on the ice for once. Mind you, they were playing the Ducks, so the Ducks are in last place.
It's still rivalry.
El Tráfico on Ice. You know that. Trademark by Westbox Score here.
Oh my God.
We're going to make it happen. And oh man, so at one point on our side of the ring, we were right behind the net. Drew Doughty sacrificed himself. Wide open net. Ducks player goes to take a shot. Henrique goes to take a shot. And Doughty jumps in front of the wide open net and blocks the shot, man. Wow. This is toward the end of the second period. I jumped up, started clapping. And that's like it's equivalent to scoring a goal. You saved a goal, Doughty. Yeah. So I can no longer talk shit on Doughty. I don't want him traded anymore. I was
gonna say,
he's wanted me
turn
over.
around to you and say, weren't you thanking me for my service already?
I already had him future endeavored. I was gonna send him his hockey jerseys in the trash bag back to London, Ontario, Canada.
Man, well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you had a good time.
Great time at that Kings game. So
I did some research, because you and I both attended, a live event soon after that Kings game. And I did some research because I had a similar experience that I felt very safe. And I went online. I was like, man, how are they pulling this off? And apparently, internally, everybody is calling all the stadiums and being like, yo, we're initiating the Dignity Health protocols. Dignity Health Complex protocols. So be prepared for not that many fans, social distancing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. They got some tips from the Galaxy on how to set this shit. I can't even keep it going because
I mean, are you getting your lessons are you getting your jokes from Trevor Bauer now at this point?
I wish the folks listening to this could see the actual Zoom footage of Alex's face as I'm saying this. So
just
I couldn't
that Kevin
continue.
Hart.
But no, in all seriousness.
Yes, you also enjoyed a live sporting event,
yes,
Sonny.
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
Saturday, I went to the still named Bank of California Stadium, as I found out when I pulled up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're still rocking with this." My wife.
I thought they stopped payment on their check.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I thought they cashed that check already. Yeah, my wife and I went Saturday to catch LAFC host the Seattle Sounders.
Wow,
and
that's a good match.
That's kind of like our, I guess I would say our second riverry. Because we've faced them twice in the playoffs, and they've knocked us out twice in those playoffs.
Well, doesn't sound like much of a rivalry then.
Well, at least we've met them, but yeah, we have success against them in the regular season, so it feels like
and that's where it really matters.
Exactly. So exactly. I mean, that's what Galaxy fans tell us since we beat them in the playoffs.
Here we go.
But anyways, you know what? I didn't know what to expect. Honestly, I was hella nervous. Like, I had just gotten the vax the day before.
And you didn't have any complications from the second vax?
Oh, I did, actually. Uh-oh. I woke up like if somebody was beating me, with a bat over the head. Like my head
headache,
was
yes.
pounding, man. And it did not look like promise. It did not look promising. It did not look like we were going to be going to this game. But luckily, the wisdom of my wife, she was like, take a Tylenol, extra Tylenol strength. And I popped one in, had a little breakfast, popped one in. And about 30 minutes later, poof, gone.
Nice.
Gone.
Awesome.
I still felt a little bit of aches here and there, more fatigued than anything else, but I was good. That wasn't going to stop me, so I had no fever, nothing like that, no temperature. So
you had to get out there with your 32-22s.
That's right. 32-52, motherfucker.
Oh, my bad. I forgot they added 30 more.
So yeah, we went, and what's crazy is, they didn't, because of the way they're doing this, I'm as I've mentioned on this podcast before.
What was it like?
I'm a season ticket holder, so I'm supposed to have tickets to every single game, but I was not part of the group that was chosen for the first game, which was the home opener against Austin FC, the new club,
right?
The week before. But I was selected to attend this game, and they sat me as close as they possibly could to my seats. So I actually sat about 3 sections over to the left, still in the same row A, which was cool. I appreciated that because you get used to, that lifestyle.
That view. Yeah. That lifestyle. That first row lifestyle.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
It is a different experience. Let me tell you, man, when you ain't got fucking idiots sitting in front of you, standing up randomly and shit like that, like it's different. I know this sounds very privileged, but I work hard for that shit. I work hard.
How
for
that other half lives, I could only imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Get that money.
I feel you. Go for it.
So yeah, we felt safe, man. It was cool. They did a really good job about keeping everybody behind you, to the left of you, to the right of you, separated. And like you said, with the Staples Center, the concourse was like, I had to go to the restroom once during the game, and I didn't encounter but maybe one person, as I was. Now, mind you, I didn't go at halftime because I'm sure that's when everybody went.
Right.
But yeah, it was a pleasant experience outside of the actual game itself. So it was kind of weird, but good to be back in a setting like that.
Did you get any concession while you were there?
No. So Bank of California allows you to bring in sealed or 2 sealed bottled waters, which we did. And we have our own routines where we eat before and after the game at certain spots in LA. So that we stuck to that, where we ate in our car for some of these spots. Shout out to Chewy's out in downtown LA and places like that. So we planned it that way. Not to say that I wouldn't have felt safe because it's all cashless anyways. But no, we didn't eat or grab any concessions. It was literally go watch the game, use the bathroom once, and let's roll.
What was the atmosphere like inside there? Did it still, even though there's less fans, it still feels full, right?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because of the 3252. Obviously, the 3252 is not fully there, but they had been designated in this game as they were able to stand shoulder to shoulder because in order to be there, you had to be fully vaccinated. So that was dubbed the fully vaccinated section,
right?
And therefore that's why you had dudes literally standing right next to each other, even if it was a limited capacity of what they usually are. But they were still making all that noise and all that chatter, which because it's an emptier stadium, us being audio geeks, it reverberated more throughout, as opposed to feeling a little more deadened or mixed in with all the other ambiance that the crowd usually makes. It actually hit louder because there were less people in the stadium. But so it was kind of interesting because you could hear the constant chants, but you could also occasionally hear Bob Bradley shout at somebody or the players shouting at each other, and it was like, dang, this is kind of dope. Like, I wish all the games were like this.
Yeah, right. It's a weird vibe because now you're kind of spoiled for seating wise, right? Like now I don't want somebody all up on fighting for the armrest with me at the next game I go to. Like, I kind of like that person, the closest person's like 6 feet away, too far away, and so also the lines are a lot shorter. Concession. Well, you went when it was not in halftime. I went in halftime to the Galaxy game, and there was the lines were not long. There was no line. There was no line at all right at halftime. And the parking even wasn't hard to get in and out of, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm sure in Carson they never have that issue, but in downtown LA,
All right.
It's outside LA where it's very dense. No, it wasn't. I mean, there was some traffic coming into the game, especially on Martin Luther King Boulevard there.
Mhm.
That place is that part of the city is always jam packed,
Right.
especially when there's a game. That was the only real bit of traffic that we faced, but nothing like it is when it's pre-pandemic, or fully open.
And it's also interesting you touched on the sounds of the game. The thing with Staples Center and the LA Kings and Ducks game, they were playing a crowd noise track throughout the entire game, which
was that annoying?
Super distracting.
Yeah.
Super freaking distracting. Like, what are you guys doing? I was trying to get a chant of kill that noise. Kill that noise. No, look, there's not enough fans in there. Like, it was a one-person chant. It was just me.
You should have started fuck Jake Paul. Fuck Jake Paul.
I think that was at a different venue.
Oh yeah, my bad. I thought that was like a whole stadium wide.
But yeah, that was super distracting, and it wasn't. It was supposed to be crowd ambi, but it sounded like a white noise, so it didn't even sound like crowd ambi. And also, it's very low, very subtle, but there. And I find it super annoying because I know it's there, and I'm trying to drown it out with my own cheers and yells and stuff. But it's just, and I'm trying to yell and heckle the goaltender for Anaheim, and I'm having to yell through my mask and over fake crowd noise. That's why my voice was so hoarse for the next couple of days, because I was trying to yell over it.
Yeah.
And it was just super annoying, man. But I did like hearing the sticks on the ice, hearing the coaches and the players, because you could still hear that over that crowd noise. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like, you're in the first row. I was like row 25 of the 100 level of Staples Center, but I could still hear everything clearly.
Well, and also because it's a closed stadium, so
right. And it was just so cool to see a game that way. And so I don't know. LAFC, how did they do against Seattle?
Well, they ended up drawing 1-1 in that game, as Donald will remind you, right, Donald?
Yes.
Yes,
it was a 1-1 LAFC draw. LAFC scored the first goal in the second minute, Atuesta.
Yep, free kick. Yeah,
it
almost was going to be like the quickest goal I've ever witnessed live, because it damn near was a penalty. I mean, it damn near was a goal.
Yeah,
the way the play was building up, and then it ended up being the second minute because of the lapse time for people to set up their free kick and stuff like that. So
yeah, I did see that, and it was kind of an interesting one because it was just one of those where Seattle just they jumped too high. And
well, it was smart. It was calculated. Atuesta knew that what walls do is mostly they jump up, thinking they got a header or deflect the ball, and Atuesta put it right underneath them.
Yeah, it was
oh wow,
insane.
Yeah.
And then Seattle came back second half. Brad Smith in the 54th minute. So it was interesting. But yeah, I think overall I watched a little bit of the game. I think I saw the second half, which is when Seattle came back, and not sure what your takeaways are being there live, or what you felt with the team. To me, it just felt like two teams that kind of know each other really well. Definitely, it was coach versus coach. So, yeah.
I was pleased with the result, considering that we didn't have our two best players yet again, back-to-back weeks again, except for those 20 minutes with Vela, which, by the way, I feel like we owe Bob Bradley an apology now, because it turns out that injury that Vela sustained was bad enough to where he had to miss this game.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
It actually was not embarrassing then. Either that or Vela's doing Bob Bradley a solid and just saying, hey, so you don't look as bad, just sit me out this game. But I doubt he would do that against a team like Seattle.
Yeah, you need to be in there.
So, yeah, unfortunately, when I got there, I was I knew that Diego Rossi was questionable. But then when I read that Vela was also questionable, I said, they're probably just playing it up that way. And then nope, he actually did not dress up at all. So a little bit cause for concern there, but given that we were missing our two best players and our attacking players against a team like Seattle, who were missing, I think Jordan Morris was the only player they were missing, but he's not their best player. They still had Rui Diaz and Roldon, and they had their squad. So for us to take care of it and not lose at home, I felt good about. And it was still an entertaining game. There were opportunities for both teams throughout. So the LAFC employed a very youthful lineup in the second half, which was very interesting to see. And you could see some kids who just aren't ready yet, but then you could see others that was like, oh, that kid's going to be nice, So that was something else to experience also live. So not like your Galaxy though. Damn.
Well, D-Bot, how did our LA Galaxy fare on Sunday? I was there for it, but tell us what happened on the field first.
So the Galaxy won against the New York Red Bulls, 3-2. Hat trick by Javier Hernandez.
Charito, Charito,
Yeah.
Charito, Charito.
And then New York Red Bulls scored Andrew Gutman in the 26th minute and Christian Caceres in the 63rd minute.
Hey, can somebody tell Chicharito to give that celebration back to Griezmann immediately, though? Because if he's going to do it, you got to have swag. You can't do this whole goofy shit that he was doing out there.
Man.
This dude was like, man.
Griezmann gave him a fist bump on Twitter, by the way, for that.
Well, of course, he's representing him out here in the States. What do you expect?
I was going to screenshot that to you guys and say, Griezmann to Galaxy confirmed.
Of course.
But, I mean, Chicharito's just feeling it, man. He's happy, right? Like, dude, actual Chicharito hat trick for once, right?
Yeah.
An actual one.
That's crazy.
One that actually counts.
Dude, in true Chicharito fashion too, the type of goals that he was scoring were like the what is it, the working man's goals, like the ones that they don't look pretty, they're not, but they're effective. Like he just finds a nose for the ball and they go in. You know, that's vintage Chicharito.
I would have to disagree with you, man. That third one was a pretty goal. That one, that was on my side of the field when he scored it, and him jumping in the air to kick that ball in was freaking nice.
Yeah, that was the nicest of the three, for sure. Yeah,
I'll give you that. To cap off the hat trick, like that's the way you cap it off. Like, man, that was nice. That was epic, man. I mean, this was the first time me going to a Galaxy game as a fan, because I went a long time ago when I was working, so I was half paying attention to that game. So my first time as a fan for seeing the Galaxy score a goal, and it was the Chicharito hat trick. Those were the goals, because last year when I went, they were shut out by Vancouver, and that was a tough one. I mean, I remember leaving that game, and I've said this to you guys, I got to come to 5 more of these games. Like, I have to watch this team 5 more times in person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind watching them on TV because I could, drink my sorrows away. But I'm going to pay $15 for some more beers to drink these sorrows away, man. So it's like, man, this Galaxy team looked good. They looked impressive. However, I'm gonna have to rain on this parade, D-Bot. They didn't look like they're the top of the table team right now. Because as we sit right now, undefeated, right? Two wins, 6 points, on top of the table right now.
So you're saying they got Marineritis?
They might. They might, because I saw a lot of bad passes out there, a lot of miscommunication. It's like, okay, are they going to hold on to win this game? Yeah. It looked sketchy there toward the end, especially when they added 10 minutes of extra time.
10 minutes, and then you could tell even Chicharito got up and was like, you were there at the game, but on camera, they zoomed to him when it was already past the 10-minute mark, and he's like yelling at the ref to just blow the whistle already, because he's like,
stop the count.
Yeah, exactly. Because, New York was getting in. They were getting in, and, there was almost a questionable penalty that wasn't called, and it was insane. But yeah, the Galaxy were pretty much falling apart at that point. And I think that, comparing it to the last week's game, I was talking to some Galaxy people online, and, during the match, like the match chat thing, and I was saying, I think what the difference between last game and this game is that last game was against Inter Miami. You had David Beckham. Tom Brady was there. It's that whole former Galaxy player thing. There was a bit of media marketing hype behind it. And I think that's why they were playing a little bit more, because they knew, and also they were in Florida, which, there was fans everywhere there. There was no restrictions. So I think the energy was just different, and I think they come here, it's New York, and then it's, the energy's as best as it could be based on the restrictions. And then I did see that too, that they weren't playing the best. And then when the subs came in towards the end, it felt weird to me seeing the subs come in and then they're shifting guys to positions they normally wouldn't play. And it's kind of obviously they have to now do that, but it just felt like there was a bit of when Jonathan Dos Santos, went down, and then they subbed him out, and then Chicharito also got subbed out because he looked already like he was drained. It just felt like 2 subs that you threw in just because of emergency, they need to get out now, but not because they were like, oh, good game, like come out and here like. It was more like, they pulled them and then you're shifting the rest of the lineup around. And then I think that's what messed it up towards the end for them. So,
yeah, like they needed reinforcements, right? They need some fresh legs out there to hold on to this lead.
Yeah.
And the shifting around, I think, helped Araujo because I think those 2 goals that were given up by sloppy defense was on Araujo's side, right? Like,
yeah.
That first one, definitely, because I saw that one happen. Like, oh, man, what are you doing? That's miscommunication.
Yeah.
Looking for help when you really need to take care of that ball yourself. And so that gives up a goal. And I didn't see on the other side, but apparently it was another miscommunication by him.
Yeah.
But he looked better when he was on the wing.
Yeah, that's true. And then the other part was Sebastian Lletget being suspended for 2 games. So.
Right. Right. Well, Sebastian Lletget. We didn't get your thoughts, D-Bot, on Sebastian Lletget's comments there. What did you think? You think the suspension's warranted?
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't do it from the beginning. I would have done like 3 games, but
oh shit.
Just because I think, what he did was ridiculous. I mean, the dude he's Argentinian. Like, he speaks Spanish. Like, he knows what this all means, and he knows the cultural impact of it. It was, but I get it. Like, he wanted to create content for whatever, his content stuff, which is, again, a downfall for any player and stuff. But, again, it's just ridiculous. So I just thought it definitely warrants it, and I don't know. I'm like indifferent about it to Lletget anyway, so it's like whatever. It's like whether he's there or not. I don't.
If he was a better player, we'd probably give him a pass.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
We have to make an example out of somebody. Let's make an example out of Lletget.
Okay, cool.
No, but I agree with you, D-Bot. I feel like there had to be some kind of suspension, obviously, because we need to clean up the culture.
My only thing is I'm surprised that MLS didn't do it at the beginning to make it look like it was the rightful. It almost felt like the fact that they did it now, it made it look like they kind of had a change of heart and like, oh, maybe we should, It's almost like, oh, so you were going to let them slide pretty much is what you're saying. But you probably, some PR person probably talked to you and you're like, okay, yeah, it's not too late to still, come down on him or something. It just felt weird.
It's still COVID times. People are working out of the office. You had some time to get paperwork to clear, man. That's why it got delayed a week. The suspension was going to come down eventually. Oh, man. But it was so great as, once again, I was there. And I'm sure you got this from people, Sonny, as well, when you were at the game for LAFC. Like the workers, like ticket people and stuff, like just, oh, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for being here. And it's like, man, thank you for being here, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's just a great feeling to be out there again with people, and especially stadium employees like that, because they weren't working during this time. It's
part of their livelihood. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'm glad that I could be out here.
It still felt weird. I will say that at times, where it was like, my wife and I had to look at each other like, damn, are we really out here like this?
Right.
Like, but we wouldn't have done it if we both weren't vaxxed.
Yes.
And so, again, not to speak against anti-vaxxers, but that's just how, serious we happen to take it. And I will say this last thing about Chicharito and his form right now. To misquote the great Rick James being played by Dave Chappelle, confidence is a hell of a drug. Because that's what that boy is kind of operating on right now, and it shows.
Yeah,
where he's able to
powered by Herbalife,
to
bro.
score and make that, like, you can see it. He feels confident, and that's what leads to opportunities, and he's putting them away.
Yeah.
That's crazy to see.
Well, it speaks to the offseason, him doing that work, right? Like D-Bot and I have said, he's all on Instagram now, like working out, running in the hills and stuff like that. I'm eating this, I'm eating right. And it's obviously, he's motivated, right? Who knows what's causing the motivation, wanting to redeem the galaxy, him wanting to get out there on the single life scene again. Who knows? Who knows what's causing the redemption? But like I was saying, I get there early, right? So I see warm-ups happen. I see them out there training. And I was noticing in Chicharito's group, he's like the first one running like in the sprints. Like he's like the first one getting to the lines all the time. And like, man, this guy is in some good shape. Like that, I'm happy for him. Like it's very motivating to see him redeem himself. Like, because last season I said this, and he didn't look right. He looked a little chubby. And it takes one to know one. And I realized I recognize my thick boy. He's thick like me. And like that, something ain't right, Chicha. You got to get out there. So he's starting to take that Herbalife, and he's cutting back on the Bud Light seltzer. 1 Bud Light seltzer a day, bro. I know it's low calorie, but there's still calories in there, bro. You gotta cut them. So I'm glad Chicha's back in form. But yes, the confidence is a hell of a drug, Sonny, for sure.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention, so match day 3, which is what we call it in soccer, coming
In
up
football.
in football. Yeah, exactly. World Association Football. Coming up, LAFC versus the Houston Dynamo. That's going to be played on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. That should be a win for LAFC, I believe.
You guys are finally leaving the bank, right?
Hard to say, man. Yeah, it's on the road. It's hard to say because it's still too early. You know, I've always maintained early MLS seasons. I mean, although you always want to get off to a hot start, it's a mixed bag. All these teams are regrouping, reassessing, and putting out what they think was going to work. And then they have to start making adjustments. So
my experience is that the Dynamo tend to just be the ones that kill it for you when it comes to playoff chances. Like when you're the team that you got to just beat the Dynamo and then you get into the playoffs, they tend to be the ones. Yeah, they spoil it for you.
The Dynamo play the role of spoilers very well.
That's my thing. So yeah,
I think we're projecting our own Galaxy woes here.
Yeah, exactly. So the LA Galaxy are actually going to be playing the Seattle Sounders. Sunday at 6 p.m.
And this is what I attest, D-Bot. This is our first real test
it
for our Galaxy, right? Because that's what I was alluding to earlier.
They're playing at Seattle.
So that's why this is going to be a big test for our Galaxy, right? Like they beat a Miami team who could be good, could not be good. They beat a New York Red Bulls team that could be good, not be so good. But this is our first real test against a contender.
Yeah.
So this is what we'll find out. Are they legit? How is Chicha going to do when he doesn't score goals now?
Yeah.
Is he going to keep that confidence for the next match? Because I don't know if he could score on that Seattle defense. I hope he does, because current check of the Golden Boot race after 2 weeks, that's right. Chicha, number 1 with 5 goals in the Golden Boot race. Where's how many goals does Vela have?
Hey, you can't score if you don't play. Just remember that. I'm pointing to my forehead here like the meme. Just think about it.
That's right. You gotta play. You gotta play games to. You gotta play matches to score goals. And
exactly.
So, are you saying Vela's conceding the Golden Boot and
wants
MVP?
a challenge, so he said, "Chicharito, I'll give you a little head start."
That's so nice of him. That's so friendly of him.
Rossi, this felt like an internal struggle. And Rossi was like, you know what? Goddamn, I'm the Golden Boot reigning champ too. Let me give him a head start too then.
Oh man!
And so here we are.
Give the little kid a head start. Huh? Give the little Chicha a head start. All right.
Exactly. So we'll see. We'll see. It's a long season, boys.
It is a long season. And it was a long Saturday night for you, right, Sonny? You were at LAFC.
Yes, it was.
And then what happened Saturday night?
I raced home after we grabbed that obligatory dinner that I said as part of our tradition after the LAFC game. And I was cutting and weaving through the freeway just to get home in time for some tasty prelim action for UFC, baby, for the main event.
Back in front of a live crowd, 15,000 strong in Florida, where the Rona no longer exists. Man, that card,
dude. Let me just go on record to say, I don't pay for all cards, UFC, but I have in my lifetime subscribed to quite a bit. Mm-hmm. This is up there as one of the top 3, top 5 cards that I've ever witnessed. It was that good. Alex, I can't wait to get your thoughts, D-Bot. I don't know if you were able to tune in to any of the matches. This card had everything, man. And it was done early, and I was still satisfied. Normally when they're done early, you're like, what the fuck? That's it. Nope. There was none of that feeling here, because even the prelims, shout out to Rude Boy for getting Jax. That was the fight that got, it was perfect that one was the last fight before the main event, I believe, started. Because that one just, to me, set the table for what was to come, and boy, did it deliver. So what did y'all
those
think?
prelims were even good, huh? That featured prelim got you set up for the main card.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So I was able to watch everything after I was having technical difficulties on my ESPN Plus app, but like you were said, everything wrapped up so quickly that I was able to watch everything on delay and kind of know everything happened, but still see it. and still be entertained by it because obviously the internet is full of spoilers.
Yeah.
And man, that Anthony Smith, Jimmy Crute fight was nuts. Crute is a beast for trying to fight one-legged against Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's not a guy you want to be one-limbed with, any limb, especially your base. And he still wanted to go out there and scrap. I love that. He killed his knee.
I felt bad for that dude because you could tell he wanted it bad, and it just couldn't happen. And I'm glad the ref, called it, or I guess it was it wasn't the ref that called it. It was the doctor that actually called it. As he tried to take 2 steps towards the dock, he stumbled and he walked as though somebody who's never walked on hills or anything like that, would walk. And it was crazy, man. And that was the first fight of the night, of the main card, that is, of the main event. So, and then after that, there was more leg action.
Right.
There was more leg action, right? D-Bot, did you see what happened next?
The leg action was Uriah Hall, right? Like Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. And how ironic was it?
Poetic.
Right? That Chris Weidman, the same thing that he did, well, not saying that he did it to Anderson Silva, but that happened when he leg checked Anderson Silva's kick, and it wraps around Weidman's leg, happened when he goes to kick Uriah Hall's leg the same exact way, rubber bands it.
As somebody who takes pride in calf workout day, let me just tell you that he absolutely did it to Chris Weidman's leg, because those calves weren't playing. You better come correct if you're going to kick my calves and legs, or else you're going to get a broken ankle there. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, the poetry of it, the fact that Uriah Hall, first of all, was the last fighter that Anderson Silva ever fought. Okay? Keep that in mind. The fact that basically what started the decline for Anderson Silva was his horrific injury on a similar type move, like you said, when he attempted to kick Chris Weidman, and the same exact thing happened. And now here we are, X amount of years later, Weidman is fighting that same Uriah Hall that finished out the career of Anderson Silva, and he tries to kick him, and boom, the same thing. Fight was over in what, 20 seconds? 30
17 seconds. Uriah Hall did not throw one single strike.
Neither of them did.
No, I think Weidman threw some jabs. Are you sure?
Did he? No, I don't
think he threw some jabs. I could have sworn he did. I know he goes for the kick and the last kick that he's going to throw. But isn't that so, just so crazy how the MMA gods work this way?
Yeah. That was crazy.
That's insane. And those were the first 2 non-title fights. The rest of the way, title fights, right, D-Bot?
Yeah, that's right. The rest of were 3 title fights, 2 women's, and obviously Usman at the end. I actually started watching it from the Shevchenko and on, not because it was like a title thing. For some reason, I just happened to tune in, and that's what was on.
That's because that's when the Laker game had
finally
ended.
Yeah, exactly. And that's true. That's when the Laker game. And also when you see them already losing, you're like, okay, let me, like at this point, I already know what I'm going to say on the pod. So
I got to beat the traffic out of my living room.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I did watch the Shevchenko versus Andrade fight, which was really good. I mean, again, like to Sonny's point, it was surprising to me how early this all ended. But I guess this is what happens when the whole main card is over by TKOs and KOs and whatnot. So no decisions whatsoever. So it was really cool. I like the Shevchenko fight. I kind of had a feel. I was hoping Andrade would do a little bit more, but man, Shevchenko came out pretty strong, strategy wise. Really figured out the takedown, and just took out Andrade. Until the ref called it, and I thought it was insane to see that. And then seeing her be giddy afterwards. I always trip out when the women do that because they're so badass. Like that it's like, oh, it's so funny when you're like, oh damn, you forget like she's a woman, like she's gotta be feminine at the same time. Like it's insane because she could beat you up, So yeah.
Hey, don't get canceled here, Donald D-Bot. Don't get canceled here. It could be any dude who does that too, and it's okay. Like,
no, it's one of the. It's very. I'm gonna get canceled with you here, D-Bot. It's really funny when you see these women because you see them as killers when they're in combat, right? And then when you see them in post fights, like just be who they are,
Yeah.
which are women,
Yeah.
and then do their dances and just like be feminine, as Donald's saying. It's very true. It's like, oh damn, that's right. This woman can kill me.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if
Maybe
I
she'll
should
dance
stare
right
or
after
turned
she
on at
kills
the
you,
same
dude.
time.
Okay, yeah. Tune in next week
And
on the West
I'm
Mox Show,
canceled.
hosted by Sonny, featuring Sonny and Sonny. Alex over here, no filter. Just
This is what happens when
man.
you've been awake for over 20 hours and
this is what happens when you read too many Trevor Bauer tweets. This is what happens.
because if I was reading too many Trevor Bauer tweets, I'd be disingenuous and lying the whole time.
Yeah.
Trying to fake the funk.
I was gonna say the analogy might be like when Mike Tyson, was a killer, would knock everybody out and then get on the mic and be like, "Yo, I told you I was gonna knock you out." You be
That's
like,
a good
"Yo,
comparison.
And
dude,
welcome
the
to being
badass."
canceled with us.
Yeah.
Like you didn't expect it. When you see this killer, you're
Right.
like, "Wow, like that's crazy." So I kind of get where you guys are coming from,
But I
still.
love you ain't co-signing with us. You ain't
I know,
gonna,
right?
you ain't gonna join us in the cancel culture.
What y'all saying. Exactly. The fact that Shevchenko dominated that fight, Andrade, in what felt like the only area that Andrade had an upper leg on in the ground and pound department. She had no chance. She
No.
couldn't even lift her leg,
Yeah.
dude. Like that was insane. So yeah, I don't see anybody. It's going to be interesting to see who's up next for her.
Like I didn't catch the Rogan presser, the interview on this one, but who did Valentina call out anybody,
Nope.
or did they set up like who she might
She
fight
said
next?
actually it's the Rogan post interview was kind of cringeworthy because Rogan over here trying to speak some swag for her and being like, come get some. She's like,
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? He's
What
like,
do
come
you-
Oh, I
get some,
did.
right? It's like, I love that she's making Rogan fucking out here, leaving him out
I thought he
there
had
on
like a
the
good
island. His
punchline
face
right
got
there, and it
so
was like, no.
red.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, I to your guys' point, I expected more from Jessica Andrade also with that power she's got.
Yeah.
Like I expected her to maybe catch Valentina, but Valentina is just too skilled, man. She had, and I think I did catch that in the post fight presser. Stop looking for weaknesses on me. I have none.
I have none.
Like,
exactly.
dude, oh my god,
Yeah.
oh my god, she's right, but she's right.
Yeah.
So the only thing you can do is run back an Amanda fight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but at that point, it's like Amanda's figured Valentina out.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like it needs a trilogy, but it also, I mean, who else is there out there for these two women? They're just head
They're
and
just
shoulders above
chasing
everybody.
each other, but it's clearly a 1 and then a 2 in my opinion. There,
It's the Dodgers Padres. It's a 1 and 2. You're right. What?
Okay, I don't know. Okay,
I mean,
I'll
one's
let you
got
have
the,
that one.
one's got the
correct
chip,
you.
and one's got
I
one's
won't correct
trying to
you
be a
here.
little brother here.
I was thinking more Yankees Dodgers. One is clearly like
wow.
dominant in the sport. The other one likes to think they are.
Hey man,
But,
they're not going to
you
let you in Seiko Field anymore. You
They're
talk
miles.
about
I
the
hate
Yankees so
I hate
good.
the Yanks, but I put respect, and I'm a baseball historian, so
That is
I know
true.
who owes their dues.
That is true. What was next after this fight, D-Bot?
So the next one was the women's strawweight between is it
Weili.
Weili Zhang?
Weili Zhang.
Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas, aka Thug Rose.
Doug Rose.
So
Doug Rose, Namayumas.
yeah. So this one was amazing to watch too.
Yeah.
That I mean, no one saw that kick coming. Like it was one of those when it happened. You know,
Sonny's claiming he called this
you
one.
called.
I didn't call the fashion in which it happened, but if you go and look at my Venmo history, I cashed in on one fight all night, and it was this fight, dude.
Nice.
So I was, but although I was torn though, because I don't know, man. Maybe the fact that it was in Jacksonville. Like I said, I try not to get political about it, but
Here
like
we go.
the fact that it was in Jacksonville, and then they started booing Wang, and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. I'm almost now rooting. I was this close. If my money hadn't been on Thug Rose already at this point, I was this close to like just swapping that on a dime and be like, you know what? I hope she knocks her out now.
Well,
you know,
I
just
don't
to
know-
shut all these folks up. Like,
I don't know if you caught any of the media going up to this fight, but Thug Rose was saying, like, oh, I can't like Weili Zhang because she's from China and China's communist. Like, I've looked into this.
So I read that after the fact. I hadn't known until Thug Rose kind of half apologized for it in
Right,
her post fight. And I was like, "Oh, what is it? Did she get canceled?" Because I was like, "What's going on
Yeah.
here? What is she speaking about?" And
Join
I
the
went
club.
and read it. Yeah, I went and read it, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't know this because I don't think I could have put my money on her knowing that she had said those things.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where ignorance is bliss in my case.
Absolutely. Hey, that's where I live.
Yeah. But when I found out after the fact, I was like, oh, that's foul.
Yeah.
So I hope they run it back, to be honest.
They kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
Was it a stoppage that was made too soon, D-Bot? What do you think?
No, dude. I thought that I mean, again, I wasn't expecting that kick to come in like that quick. It's funny because I know I saw the Rogan the Rogan gif that's like a meme now, but like it was insane because it was like, yo, did that just happen? Like she's really like out. And then the ref called it, obviously, because Doug Rose was already on top of her, man. Like she was willing to keep wailing until, she passed out. And so, I mean, it just felt like it was,
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Whaley's end. But yeah, I feel like she was still coherent, man. She can still go.
You think so?
I don't know.
I felt like
she literally got up and walked in the wrong direction right as she was trying to like.
That was part of her plan.
Oh, that's right.
Man.
Yeah,
Not that Nate Diaz approach.
That drunken ninja type strategy.
And now you're canceled with us. Welcome.
No, that's an actual strategy.
I know,
what are you talking about? Okay.
Hey, I'm just trying to get you canceled with us, bro.
Some research.
I'm just reaching now at this point.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, they definitely. I agree. Run it back, right? Is that what you guys say too?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be good to see another rematch for this one.
And then main event time, D-Bot.
Yeah, main event, man. I wish I had said prior to it starting that if I had money on this, I would have had it on Usman because I really felt like he was gonna do it again. But Kamaru Usman against Jorge Masvidal for the welterweight, in which Usman won by knockout in the second round. That was a clean punch, man. That looked like straight out of a video game. Like I feel like that was a UFC 4 video game or something. How perfect that thing looked, because I don't know, it was insane. But yeah, I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on it. I did hear what Masvidal said after the fight too. So,
Sonny, what did you think?
My heart initially going in, I was trying to back Game Bread, and I wanted Jorge Masvidal to do the damn thing. The whole time, though, I did not bet on him because I couldn't. My brain told me, nah, I don't. I want to see it, but I can't see it. Usman's just, especially because that last fight against Gilbert was what was fresh in my mind. Kamaru Usman's
Burns,
fight against Gilbert Burns, where he just like convinced me like, oh yeah, he's multifaceted. It's not just, the boring, ground and pound or dominate your opponent in a boring way type of way. Like, no, this dude can throw them bows.
Yeah.
And so that was just fresh in my mind. And I was like, man, is Masvidal ready for it? Because just Usman looks like he's on a whole other level now, man. He does. And to me, it felt like it was the official end of an era with him knocking out Masvidal the way he did. Because you saw Masvidal start to get cocky, trying to take, it's all psychological warfare at that point. But him taking that first hit and then just smiling and keeping his arms down and being like, come on, man,
That's true.
And then it was like, all right.
Yeah, he got a little arrogant there.
And he knocked him out. And the fact that at least the commentators were saying that Masvidal didn't even know what just happened was like, oh yeah, that's career ending right there. Like there's no bouncing back from this. Like even if you beat the top dog to get to this chance again, like he's just going to do it again to you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I don't know where Masvidal goes from here. Does he give Nate the
feels
run
like
back
that's
for the BMF?
That's what I'm
just
hearing.
Put that to bed?
A lot online. The Nate Diaz did that. That would have to be the next move.
Although if Nate Diaz messes around and beats Edwards coming up, then I feel like Nate Diaz being like, nah, I'll meet you later because I'm actually still in contention here, as a top 5. Somehow, sneaks in that way. So we'll see. But Usman is going to be, obviously now they're saying, and Alex, we'll get your thoughts on this, but they're going to run it back with Kobe.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens there. But what did you think?
All right. So this fight, I was swayed early on by the great GSP, George St. Pierre, who said about this fight, Kamaru Usman doesn't do anything great, but he does everything good. I'm like, that kind of felt like a backhanded compliment. And I'm like, well, you're not really going for Usman. But then when he said, well, what about, they asked about Masvidal, but Masvidal's got that one punch power. I'm like, but that's all he's got. So that's
all he's got?
Like,
no, you're putting some disrespect.
I'm putting some disrespect on Game Bread because, like, okay, this is GSP saying this, right? That's at first I thought he disrespected Usman, but then he really dissed fucking Masvidal. So I'm like, damn, dude, like, I think he's got more than that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm swayed toward Usman here on this fight, but my heart's for Game Bread because he's got swagger, he's a cocky fighter, but I've seen him lose a lot too, so I'm like, who knows?
It had been a minute though. It had been a minute since we seen him go down. He's been
since he had the short
wave.
hair.
Exactly.
So
since before he became Street Jesus again, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Before he became reborn.
Yeah.
So I was still rooting for Game Bread, but I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if Usman won. And man, he just caught him. And to your point about him laughing that off, it's kind of like the way a fighter kind of shakes their head no when they got tagged by something. I'm like, it ain't no, it's yes.
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're saying right now because you got tagged so hard.
Yeah,
So,
I thought I saw the ending right there of more. I texted my homies. I was like, dude, I think I just saw Mortal Kombat.
Fatality.
It's like, I think I just saw somebody say finish him, and then boom.
Dude, that was clean, man. Like, that was insane. I kept watching the replay of that. I was like, on the West Box Score Instagram, I was like searching through which one had, because I think it's stupid that like ESPN does this whole like, we're not going to show you the actual thing that happened. Like, they didn't show the Thug Rose kick or Usman's punch. They do that. They show the after part when they're already on the floor.
The aftermath.
And it's kind of like, I get it. Like, you guys don't want like all this, like, because you want to make your pay-per-view. But it's like, dude, it's stupid. At this point, the internet's going to leak anything anyway. So just put it out, So I had to search for it, but it just felt insane seeing how many like videos there were of that punch going through. And some of them had like the video game sound where like it's like it flashes like when the end of a Street Fighter when you do the KO, and I'm like, damn, guys are already editing it like so quickly. It's only been like half an hour since it happened, but it's insane, man. And I did see Masvidal's presser where he said, "Oh man, like I was expecting toe stompage, and it didn't happen. I didn't realize he was gonna actually do some punching and actually jab. So yeah, he said his strategy was not built for that. So yeah."
Tom talked too much shit, got hit in the mouth, man. That's crazy. And I love the way he got knocked down to a weight class. All that water weight that came off of him in that punch too. It was like, damn, dude.
Dude, he fell like a victim in an old like Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where the dude just like sells it by like snapping his neck. It's like go watch Bloodsport or anything and you know exactly what I'm talking about. He looks exactly like he belonged to that movie.
All right. So what's next for Masvidal? We were talking about too. So I would love to see him run against Nick Diaz now. That's who I want to see.
Who was in attendance? Who was in attendance?
Who is back in fight shape? I mean, never really completely left fight shape, but a little bit.
He left fight shape, dude. I seen him in the club. I was in the club with him in Vegas once. Not partying with him, but partying with him. If y'all know what I mean.
Yeah, all right, take it easy. Once again, trying not to get canceled over here.
Jeez.
But yeah, so he looks good. He looks like he's ready to fight. And Dana, let's see if he's going to pony up the dough for him to fight Masvidal. That would be a good fight, right? Put that BMF title on the line there against the brother, which didn't I see on Twitter them talking back and forth about him. I'm going to defend my little brother at some point.
Yeah, so initially when Nate Diaz lost that fight against Masvidal, it was Nick Diaz who came out and said, like, give me.
Yes, that's right.
And that's where kind of the talk was at that time. But Nick Diaz has been trying to come back or supposed to come back for the last 4 years now. I feel like this fight game kind of has passed him by already. Don't get me wrong. He's still a tough son of a bitch. And I'd love to see it and I'd pay for it. But I can't expect, him to do any damage to Masvidal unless he gets lucky or something like that, But I love the Diaz. I'm here for the Diaz brothers. So anytime they want to fight, like I'm always rooting for them. They give zero fucks. Those are my guys. I ride with them.
So who gets a title shot now against Usman?
Well, it's Kobe.
Kobe again? I mean, again?
Yeah.
Only because Kobe kind of took him the distance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that makes the most sense right now until we see what else plays out again. Leon Edwards. What if Leon Edwards just dominates Nate Diaz and then takes on, I don't know who Dana would set up at that point, but maybe there's a Leon Edwards, in the waiting type fight to be had. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But as you were talking about, it was like a video game punch there. It was a fatality sent into Mortal Kombat style sense. The Mortal Kombat movie came out this past weekend as well. So I had to check it out on HBO Max. Did you check it out, D-Bot?
Yeah, I did. I watched it the morning it came out.
Nice. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was okay. Again, I think it's funny that like it almost feels like it was a manifestation of the conversation I had with Sonny when we were talking about like what to expect when this movie came out, when the trailer had just dropped. And for me, it was exactly kind of like what I was expecting. But it's better than Annihilation. So I feel like
glowing review. That should be the poster sign for this movie. It's better than Annihilation.
It's like, what more could we ask for, really? But yeah, I mean, the fighting was insane. I like the fighting. I like the choreography of that. Story was the only part that I was kind of like, all right, I guess this is the story we're running with. It feels like it's all a setup for sequel. So I guess even though it didn't leave me like hyped for a sequel, I'm still gonna watch and look forward to a sequel. It's like they got me like the Fast and the Furious has me right now, where it's like I know they're getting more ridiculous, but I get super excited when they make more.
Oh man, maybe, like I said, maybe it was the whiskey I had in my system as I was watching this movie, because I made a whole thing of it. I did all my work that day. It's Friday night, movie night, did yard work. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reward myself. See this new Mortal Kombat movie I've been looking forward to. Pour a nice glass of whiskey, two ice cubes in there, and boom, I'm watching my Mortal Kombat from beginning to end. I was into it, man. I was enjoying it. There was crazy fights, dude. There's this freaking guy freezes a wife and kid, like, you better go get your revenge, goddammit. And you're killing, burning the ashes right here. Like, you come back from the depths of hell and get your revenge.
Wait, real quick. Spoiler alert to anybody at this point who hasn't watched the movie yet.
If you haven't seen Mortal Kombat, if you haven't seen the Mortal Kombat movie, that's on you. You're missing a freaking fun movie. I enjoyed it. It was and it was perfect. Full 90 minutes of boom action, and storyline was, like you said, D-Bot, it's a generic storyline. Yes, it's the Mortal Kombat video games. We know them. We know it lived up to what I was expecting, and I got what I wanted. I wanted some sick fatalities. I wanted some interesting characters. So I thought the music too was pretty decent throughout too. I'm like, I'm here for this. I'm loving this whole thing. Give me more. And then I am halfway through it, and I'm like, are they ever gonna get to this tournament that they're on their way to? And then I realized, oh no, this is just the villain trying to spoil the heroes before they get to the tournament. So this is what this whole first movie is gonna be. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, they're totally setting up a franchise of Mortal Kombat. There's going to be 11 of them, just like the video games, and I'm going to sit through all of them.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, man. Unlike you, D-Bot, I was ready for that next one.
No, I will say, if you are a fan of Mortal Kombat, you should watch it, because it's Mortal Kombat. Like, you should want to see, the stuff that you play when you watch the video game. So, yeah, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, you should watch them. I'm not saying don't watch it, but yeah.
Because it sounded like you said don't watch.
No, I said if you're going to watch it on HBO Max.
Watch it for free. Don't go to the movie theaters. Don't risk it.
As for someone's
it's not worth risking the Rona
at HBO Max and then watch
it. Sonny, what did you think of Mortal Kombat?
I would say if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, or you grew up with it.
Which all three of us are, right?
Yeah,
all three
if you're
of us
a fan of Mortal Kombat, you probably should watch this, because there are elements in the movie that you will appreciate.
Uh-huh.
If you're not a fan, don't fucking waste your time.
Exactly. Okay, yeah.
And if you are a fan going in thinking it's going to be a good movie, you're going to be disappointed, because this movie sucked. So
that's a bit harsh.
It sucked, dude. Like,
that's a bit harsh.
Listen, you can't. The whole premise of Mortal Kombat is you got to have a fucking tournament, and there was no tournament, and they talk about it the entire time, and they're leading up to it, and they set up these rules. Don't even get me started. They set up these rules on on like, Lord Raiden's telling us what can't be done, and then he just turns around and says, "You know what? Fuck it. Let's play by their rules and let's not go the tournament." Exactly, go the tournament route. Blah blah blah. And then I was waiting for the main protagonist Cole, who came off as like like a weak fuck boy. I'm waiting for his superpower. Like he might as well have thrown on a Dodger jersey at that point. That's how swaggerless he was at this point. Like it was just like, dude, come on. Like I'll tell you what they did right. Sub-Zero, they did right. That dude was badass. The way they displayed all his abilities from the video game and within the story were amazing. His story arc with Scorpion, amazing. Like you said, Alex, the setup of that movie, fantastic, right? Like, okay, I'm in. You got me, right? I needed more Scorpion to come back like a lot sooner. I get the payoff at the end, and yes, it was there. I seen it coming. I remember watching the movie with my wife, who's never watched Mortal Kombat or she's played the game before, like every now and then, because I've made her, but she doesn't know like the lore or anything like that, right? And I was just like, she was like, "Oh yeah, Cole's gonna get this guy." I was like, "Nah, he needs his great granddaddy to come and save his ass, because this fool ain't worthy." I would have been pissed had they made it so that this dude Cole would have easily taken care of Sub-Zero. It's like, okay, now you're just shitting on your own movie. So they did get some things right, but they got a lot. Like there was a lot to be left like desired. I did not care for this movie.
I thought it was very nostalgic when they hit the cheesy lines, right? Like the flawless victory.
If I want that shit, I'll go back and watch the 1995 version.
I mean,
like,
but it wasn't overly cheesy though. I thought it was done kind of cool. I thought it was done modern. It wasn't like 95-ish. It didn't reek of 95 or 97 Annihilation. It was 2021 Mortal Kombat. And it just...
Well, shit, it better not reek like 95 in 2021. I mean, 95 in 95 was a pretty big deal, like as to how they pulled it off, with Goro. Like Goro was okay in this version. I almost preferred the one from 1995, as ridiculous as that one looked. He
was more badass in 95.
Yeah, so
Cole beat him.
The whole setup was kind of... They lost me, 10 minutes in. Kano was dope. I will say that. Kano just kind of kept it mildly entertaining just because I could appreciate his shit talk. But other than that, like, nah, this didn't do it for me. I was disappointed. Again, I told Donald in our initial conversation, it wasn't going to take much to satisfy me. And yet they still managed to miss the mark by just not even having a stupid tournament. It's so stupid. Like, I don't understand.
It's going to be in the next one.
But anyways.
But then they wouldn't have a franchise, though. They got to have Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 and 4 and so on, man.
Let's explain to me what happens if you try to build a house on a shitty foundation. Okay.
So you're not going to go there for part 2. Yeah, it's going to collapse. And there's not going to be... If you don't have a good part 1, you're not going to have a part 2 even.
I'm not saying it has to be the best. Think about Batman. Why was The Dark Knight Rises so fucking great? Because Batman Begins set up that trilogy perfectly. It wasn't the best, and we don't refer to it as the best of that trilogy, but it was essential in the way it set up the entire story to where we were invested in these characters, and it set up somebody like the Joker to be oh shit, like that's a formidable opponent now, for Batman. You can take a lesson from that if you're going to go like the comic book or geek route or video game route. Use that as like your foundation, but don't just fan service us and then be like, but don't worry, more is coming, guys. It's like, oh, you mean more crap sprinkled with like some tasty stuff? All right, sure.
So will you see part 2?
Yeah, I will see it. I will see it, but again, not paying for it.
I mean,
if it's part of my subscription, if it's like Donald said, if it's part of my subscription and it's on and I have nothing to do on that Friday night and we're still in a pandemic halfway or whatever it may be.
Even if it's not, dude,
I might
just
be
give
like,
me your
all right,
login.
let me pop this in. I don't know if I'd be like, oh, it came out tonight. Let me watch it right now.
Yeah.
Like freaking D-Bot Friday morning.
I watched it in the morning because I was like, oh, finally, yeah. And especially because HBO made it at midnight Pacific. Usually they come out at 9 p.m. our time because it's supposed to be Eastern. That's how I saw Coming to America that same night. But this one was like, oh, it's like 10, and I'm still like, it's still not listed. But then they listed it like on Twitter. They said, oh, midnight Pacific time, which sucked for the East Coast people because I saw on Twitter people were saying, man, I can't believe they're making me wait till 3 a.m. And
Oh, damn.
Oh, for once they gotta wait till we get that shit. But yeah, I mean, I ain't mad at D-Bot or anybody who was excited to watch this like for the first time.
Right.
Trust me, I if I had been able to stay up that night, I would have probably watched it then. I'm just saying, moving forward now, I don't have that same level of excitement or curiosity to be like, oh, I can't wait to now see what's next. You know, it's like, all right, I'll follow along with you, but.
We ran a poll about this Mortal Kombat film on Twitter.
And
we got
at Westbox Score.
The moment of truth. Drum roll.
At Westbox Score.
What is our fan base here?
So we got 32 votes, which is funny. Like when you use the Mortal Kombat hashtag, it's like the first time you're like, oh man, it's not just us 3 like voting on it. It's like literally people jumped on it.
I mean, it's not just our 32 listeners that were listening.
Yeah, exactly. So I put loved it 10 out of 10. It was okay 5 out of 10, and it was trash 0 out of 10 as the options. And 32 votes came in. Final result: the winner was it was okay 5 out of 10 with 47%. Loved it 10 out of 10 with 41%, and it was trash was 12%.
Damn, Alex, it let you vote 10 times. See, I feel like a more fair one would have been if you like. For me, it wasn't trash. I can't call it trash, but it was 3 out of 10 for me.
So that was the third option, right?
Yeah, it was trash. And the reason why I said it was trash because like literally like I typed in Mortal, and then people on the auto response on the autofill, it was Mortal Kombat trash. It was like the first result. So I click it, and yeah, there's like a lot of people saying it was trash. But again, I'm assuming these are people that are really into it, and they were really expecting it, and they're just super harsh about it.
These are incels.
Or I wonder how it played for a generation that didn't grow up with like the first version of the movie at all, or the first iteration of the game, and they kind of were introduced to Mortal Kombat late, like post 2005 or 2006.
Yeah,
I wonder how, like, if you were to poll isolated groups of people,
that'd be cool.
If there's any like data behind that.
Separate them by demos.
Yeah, like Alex represents the boomers, Donald and I, we got
That's
the
right.
millennials.
And you are the eldest of all the millennials. We all know this.
That's right. The wisest.
Not necessarily. But I don't know. I got to say, once again, I was enhanced for my experience there. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. 90 minutes of trash movie. Yes. Like, just, what you're going to get, right? Like, it's going to be action. It's going to be violence. And that's what I was there for. I expected some violence from Gamebred. Didn't get that. Got it from the Nigerian Nightmare. So my violence was quenched my violence thirst was quenched this past weekend. So, I mean, I hope yours was too on listening to this episode of West Box Score.
One last note, baby. Tune in this Thursday to the NFL draft, because Jesus, am I sweating with what the Niners are going to do with that third pick. Last I read, they're interested in 5 quarterbacks. Yeah, so we'll see. What do you guys? Let me ask you guys, as imagine that the Rams, or let's say the Chargers, didn't have Herbert already. If you had to say who you thought your team had to pick as a quarterback with the number 3 pick, knowing that, the top 2 are going to be taken off the board already with Jacksonville and the Jets, who do you think is that guy at number 3? Donald?
Is Justin Fields in this top 2?
He is. No. Zach Wilson is projected to go number 2. Lawrence.
Oh, that's right. Trevor
Lawrence
is
is
number 1.
projected to be the top overall pick. So that leaves Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and a couple others.
I feel like Justin Fields makes the most obvious sense, but yet I know that that's not. I heard the reports about it, that not being the case for the Niners. Like, they're really evaluating the 5 that they chose. And I heard that the Patriots might be looking to move up and snag Justin Fields. But again, we don't know yet, but I know that for the Niners, I feel for you guys, because it's like, I'm sure as fans, you guys already had it all locked in, and then you see your GM and your coach try to do some sort of, musical chairs, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. And I think it sucks for Jimmy G too, because it basically is making it look like, I don't know, he's going to be competing for this for some guys that aren't really as hyped as they see. But again, I'm sure they want to do the scouting thing, and they want to be like, oh no, we're we have our own system. We don't follow what the media says. So
I mean, can't relate. We got Matt Stafford, so if I were your Niners, I'd trade for your boy out of the Texans there.
Oh yeah, that ship is sailed, long sailed. We ain't messing with that business. That's like messing with the two of you on this podcast now. Y'all been canceled. I'm guilty by association already. See what happens? And then it's just gotcha culture from Alex trying to like catch me on any little thing that I say after this. So I'm screwed either way.
Hey, we're good, man. Parler's back on the App Store. We can all go there and do our podcast. We're all good. But thank you for downloading, listening this week to West Box Score. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at West Box Score. Be sure to check out Sonny's podcast, The Fox Crate Podcast, wherever you get your podcast downloaded. He's also on Instagram at The Fox Crate. Be sure to join our Discord that we're going to put in the show notes here. And also, coffee drinkers out there, you got to go get some. What is that? Sailor Brews coffee, Donald?
Yes, sir. Get some Sailor Brews, man. It's really good. It's smooth. It hits you really well. It wakes you up, gets you going. And I mean, great stuff. If you guys follow Sailor's Brew Coffee, the founder, he has some great poetry on there. And I like how he ends the poetry with safe sales. Like, I'm like, damn, dude, that's some good branding right there. And, when they hit us up about being an affiliate, I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. I mean, you guys got good coffee and you guys got good branding. And that's what we're about here, too. We want to have a good show, good quality show that it's enjoyable. So, yeah, go ahead. Check out some Sailor's Brew Coffee based in Pasadena, California. We will have our link. You get 10% off your first order.
Nice. Sailor Brew's coffee. D-Bot says it hits. It's the only thing that's legal that hits like Sailor Brew coffee. You heard from D-Bot there. All right, D-Bot, we're canceled. We're going to start our own show somewhere else there. That's it for us this week. See ya.
Peace.
Later.